Hey guys, I'd like to apologize for not uploading last month. I was taking a differential equations class for 6 weeks and it was very taxing. I couldn't find the time to upload. Today I'm making a video about a touchy subject that is only partly science related. I already have a video up about it, but that was from the days when I didn't speak in my videos and had a much lower view count. I'm talking about animal trafficking, specifically the pet trade. Primate trafficking is very common, unfortunate but true. Typically there is one of two situations. In the first scenario, an unfortunate female primate is living her life in the wild. With her is a baby primate. A human hunter finds them, kills the female primate, and takes the baby. In some cases, such as with gorillas, the male may rush to his mate's defense, and he is also killed in the process. The adult primate or primates is sold as meat. The bush meat trade, contrary to popular belief, is usually not composed of poor locals, but of wealthier walks of life that eat exotic animals as delicacies. In Islam, the most common human religion in regions where non-human primates are found, it is forbidden to eat any species of primate. And despite being frequent scapegoats, most Congolese pygmies are also forbidden by their religious beliefs to eat simian primates. Indigenous communities in the Amazon and Latin America, although generally not forbidden to eat monkeys, do not generally have the ability to catch them until guns were introduced to them by non-indigenous settlers. Thus, the person whose stomach the unfortunate primate will ultimately end up in will be a wealthy one, and usually not a local, but someone from another country. The baby, traumatized by the murder and butchery of its mother, is also sold to a buyer, who is either blissfully unaware of its origin or doesn't care. The other situation is also awful. It involves second-generation captive primates, bred in captivity. With the exception of some zoos, these captive primate breeders use cruel methods to force their monkeys to breed, and go on to sell them as pets. The pet primate is often defanged, a painful process that may impair their ability to eat and cause the adult teeth to grow in incorrectly. In their new life as pets, the primates do not flourish. What kind of suffering this entails depends on where the primate ends up. In developed countries with reasonable animal rights laws, though evidently not reasonable enough to ban the exotic pet trade altogether, the monkey will be cooped up in a house and left to its own devices for parts of the day as the captor works. This is a disaster. The vast majority of primates are highly social and can't handle being alone for large portions of their lives, becoming bored and destructive. Larger, more intelligent primates, such as the great apes, may grow to resent their captor, which may result in the captor's death should the animal snap on them. In countries with weaker or worse enforced laws, you see even worse conditions for the primates. Take the country of Indonesia. There exists a cruel practice in which monkeys are covered up, usually enclosed in a rubber mask whose details vary, and moved about as if they were puppets. Meanwhile, the monkey is very much alive, panicked, and sometimes unable to see as it is manipulated for the amusement of onlookers. Onlookers who then pay the cruel human for the entertainment. Other trained monkeys performing tasks are common in things like circuses, which are their own horrible barrel that I'm not even going to open. The entertainment industry across the world is also complicit. In the movie series Every Which Way But Loose, which starred an orangutan actor, the ape in the sequel was a different individual. This is because the first orangutan died of a brain hemorrhage after being bludgeoned by its trainer after escaping and stealing a donut, a fact that only became public long after both movies left theaters. When there is an animal actor, always prefer domestic species, which can be handled more easily and without the need for abuse, or for purely CGI animals. A movie starring a canine or equine actor will always be preferable to one starring an exotic that is impossible to tame and can only be kept in check with shameful use of violence. I am active on social media. I'm going somewhere with this. I often see primates that are obviously pets in cruel conditions, yet people continue to like, upvote, share, etc. Dead giveaways that a primate is a pet and not at a sanctuary include wearing clothes, hanging about with domestic animals like dogs and cats, or being restrained somehow. Primates with immobile grins, especially those with the upper lip peeled back, are usually nervous and not happy. Meanwhile, those crying out are in distress, not making cute noises seeking attention. Primate content without disclaimers on social media only promotes a vile trade, and if you see this anywhere, you ought to remove them from your feed immediately. If the account is small and unpopular and obviously selling animals, odds are the moderators of the site will remove it if you report it. However, larger accounts and those whose animals are either not for sale or are not obviously wounded are essentially never going to be removed. This also applies to other animals. This may seem odd coming from someone who lives with birds, but the trade of parrots is very similar to the trade of primates, the only difference is that it is more mainstream. The macaws in particular have a horrible story attached to them and should never be purchased by anyone, only ever adopted. The same argument is often stated of dogs and cats and other domestic animals. Buying instead of adopting is only fueling the demand for animal cruelty from breeders. Animal trafficking is a leading cause of population decline for many species. Slow lorises, for instance, are threatened by habitat loss, but are trafficked so heavily that it has actually put a larger dent in the population than habitat loss has. The Formosan rock macaque, the only non-human primate native to Taiwan, is often habituated to human contact and is frequently kidnapped from the wild for use as a pet. The Taiwanese government has recently turned this into a misdemeanor, but more action is needed, as the wild numbers of the species are still declining. The pygmy marmoset, often misguidedly referred to as a finger monkey, and you know how I feel about that, is also in decline across its range, with a decline in certain regions being associated mainly with the pet trade. You can help. You can do so by donations to the International Animal Rescue or associated local charities such as the Jakarta Animal Aid Network, depending on your location. If you happen to live in a region where animal trafficking is common, or you suspect you do, the best thing you can do to help is keep your eyes out and report those you find suspicious in that they might be traffickers. Thank you for listening. Have a good day.